represent all other issues, whatever needs to be taken up very strongly, so that the state of Karnataka will be the best possible state, more progressive state in the entire country. With these few words, I'll stop here. Thank you one and all. Namaskara. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka, Jai BJP.
Thank you, Ashwath-ji. We would now like to welcome the Finance Minister of India, Nirmala ji. Ma'am, please.
The entire Bangalore or the state of Karnataka, we are willing to work better way and be good governance and good development, as well as represent all other issues, whatever needs to be taken up very strongly, so that the state of Karnataka will be the best possible state, more progressive state in the entire country. With these few words, I'll stop here. Thank you one and all. Namaskara. Jai Hind, Jai Karnataka, Jai BJP.
Thank you, Ashwath-ji. We would now like to welcome the Finance Minister of India, Nirmala ji. Ma'am, please.
Good evening, and really I feel energetic with a crowd like this. Ashwath Narayanji was very kind to put in words of praise. I'm not used to praise, so I feel a bit, squeamy sitting there. But no, I'm not used to praise. Oh, okay, fine. I can't dispute my MLA. And he's a very respected minister in the cabinet. He's done exceedingly well in the departments that he's been handling. And I can see the energy that he gets to work comes from his voters, his constituents. It's always nice when you're able to meet up with an interactive crowd and talk pointedly on issues which matter to you. You know, it's always easy for all of us to come and say, we've done this, this is what we want to do, our government is this, our government is that. We'll definitely do say that, because we have quite a few things which I think will be of relevance for each one of you all, so we'll say it. But what's more important is, at a time of election, whether it's for the parliament or for the assembly, the larger picture of that state, and when I'm in Karnataka, when I'm a member of parliament from Karnataka, I can say this with certain level of confidence. The contribution of Karnataka to India's economy and the contribution of Karnataka, city Bengaluru in particular, for a sort of knowledge world that is being built, an economy which is driven by knowledge considerations, whichever part of the world. Today, knowledge is the tool. Knowledge here is not, as we say in Advaita, wisdom, not in that sense. Any job, at whichever level you may want to look at, today cannot be effective unless it is infused with technical knowledge, skills to adapt, readiness to quickly adapt to changes in technology, and be able to be mobile in your thinking. I'm here, I'm doing this, but I'm doing this for that country, or I'm doing it for this purpose. So rapidly you have to be real-time contributing. A knowledge contribution is that. I'm simplifying it, you can always widen it. So 21st century is going to be driven by knowledge skill sets. anything that you talk about in any part of the world. And that is recognized by all, and people do now look up to India for that reason. And we proved it at least in the couple of years, although work had started quite some time ago. And I'm talking hard politics here, because most often you hear the opposition party, particularly the Congress party, saying you don't want to give credit, we started that, we sowed the seed, but for us, nobody denies anybody's role. But if it takes 70 years for you to do something, given the drive, the commitment, the political will and the vision for India, Prime Minister Modi and the team, and therefore the party which is aligned, is able to deliver it in a shorter period. You also do. I'm not denying it. And there could be challenges in your period, there are challenges in our period as well. So if you talk hard politics, don't sound like a victim. I would appeal to the Congress party. Take pride in what's happening now. The government may be of a particular political dispensation, but it's the people of India who are doing it all. Wouldn't you want to be aligned with it? So the repeated, victimhood of you've forgotten Jawaharlal Nehru. Nobody can forget Jawaharlal Nehru. He was the first Prime Minister of the country. You've forgotten the contribution made by ABC. No. But can we move forward, please? Can we take this country forward, please? And in that, can we take this country forward with people who want to come and join forces, not stuck with a family? And therefore I say, look, please, let's all look at it not so much for party's sake. India needs to move rapidly now. You've reached, it's like takeoff time, where you boarded your flight, it has taxied all its way, and then it's about to take off. At that time, no, you didn't take off the way in which Shea took off or Nehru took off. Please, at all our, or based on all our efforts, despite the pandemic, despite the war-related difficulties in procuring goods, despite the supply chain shocks, despite the continuing bipolar world problems, despite wanting to come out of China, not completely but at least partly, despite the recession which is in the developing world, India is seen as that country which is moving fast and moving across on so many sectors. And it cannot be just one person, it's all of you all. Now, do we want to be halted back? Do you want to have a near takeoff but not yet takeoff? Do you want to say, no, let me slow down a bit because some sections will have to still be convinced about? But come on. We can't afford to, sit back this time around. We've had several opportunities. I'm not blaming anybody. Unfortunately, we just couldn't catch the bus. Let's not lose the opportunity now. And this would be my call even in 2024 for the Lok Sabha. But now, Karnataka is an important state in the Indian economy. You contribute so much. Your contribution is also going to be the raw material for a futuristic India. You are setting the pace for that new India, which is going to be knowledge-based India. You've already shown the signs. At this time, if you go in for an instability, political, you go in for a certain, situation where people are just saying, oh my God, what's going to happen? Is this government getting formed? Is this government not getting formed? What is going to be the situation? And leave governance to be let, settling its own high water mark. It's not going to help the state. There should be stability in the state, as much as stability in the center. You need leadership which can stand out and say, look, I'm doing this for Karnataka because that's what I want to achieve. And if the Prime Minister has already given us that, and I'm not speaking, because most often opposition parties tend to say, oh, if the Prime Minister dreams, why should we fulfill it? No, please. It's a milestone, it's an objective, it's a target, it's a goalpost, it's a castle. 2047, we still should not be developing country. It's not an impossible dream. It's not an impossible dream. Just look back at the last 25 years. How much India has changed. You don't need to be an 80-year-old to recall that you had to wait for 1 year for a phone, 1.5 years and some 10 recommendations to get a gas cylinder. You're not anymore in that India. In the last 20 years, you see the drastic changes that are happening. And if these drastic changes show it to us that it is possible in India, because no longer are we being referred to as, oh, but anything in India is complicated, it takes a lot of time. There are still avenues to improve. I'm not saying everything is hunky-dory. But still, don't we find the difference between 20 years ago and now? Don't you find a difference in the way in which your banks respond to you? Don't you find the way in which you can just go on, sit at your computer and get your things done? These are not possible if the ground is not working. If cables had not reached villages, you're not going to have internet. Your work from home would not have been possible if only India was not well connected. There can still be patches of India where the speed is slow. And the cost at which is happening, the cost which is being charged on you is also something which you can. I had an Indian living in Japan for the last 20 years. Last time, 2-3 days ago, when I was going back from Bangalore, sitting next to me, and he openly said, the cost of data. And he, for his job and for the position that he's holding there, has to possess a Japanese whatever. And he says it's so all locked up. I can't change the SIM, I can't have 2 SIMs, I can't bring in any other combination. It's all given to me, I should only use. Not by the company, even every citizen gets only that kind of a phone. The flexibility, that's an example that I'm taking, that can be applied for many other areas also. The flexibility each time for suiting our customers, for adjusting to the people, like the way the payment portals talk to you in any language you want, gives you message in any language you want, doesn't look only for a smartphone, it's available for you in feature phones, it is available in the far-flung areas, and for some transactions you don't even need net connection. It can be done offline and then everything gets done. So if the way in which we have built models for ourselves, keeping our people in mind, because it should be applicable for Karnataka as much as it should be applicable for Meghalaya. So that kind of diversity which gives us challenges as well as opportunity to test everything that you do, scale it up, show it to the people. And people adapting to it easily because it's no longer frightening them. It's no longer costing them. These kind of innovations, these kind of adaptability, readiness to change, willing and at the public cost. Everything digital, everything, fundamentally the framework and the foundation for digital is all publicly funded. But available for everybody to use, it's not restricted for government's own companies. So the out-of-the-box way in which you're continuously innovating to make it so it is relevant for the common people, these are very much done because of political will. The vaccination story tells you all. Vaccines were not there, vaccines were found, and then Indian vaccines came about, we manufactured it. Brilliant. All of us will appreciate it. But going door to door and systematically, if there's a laggard going after them saying, why are you doing only 3 in a day whereas somebody is doing 300, can you move faster? Not really getting cowed down by all the fancy vaccines which were available outside because the conditions were not conducive for India. So luckily you had your, but scaling it up, the number that our young friend said may be true of some time, but it is the entire population covered in terms of vaccinations. I'm not saying there's nobody left out. Maybe there is 1% here, 1% there. But the number runs in billions. Meaning some people have had double dose, some had had double plus the booster, and some others have had just one. You put it all together, it crosses 1 billion doses. The exact number I can share with you when I get it. And the initial doubt in the minds of everybody was, is it possible to vaccinate everybody? How will this country manage, herd immunity? We didn't wait for any of that. It happened. I go back to saying the reason behind it. Political will, execution capability. Without that, you're just not going to go forward on very many of those demands. I mean, produce everything green way. Your steel has to come now green. Otherwise, every ESG standard is going to be against you. You have to negotiate your position outside. And for that, you need a drive. You need a political commitment to lift this country and move it quickly to a different level. So I can go on like this, pardon me, but the specifics for Karnataka, specifics for Bengaluru, I'm sure the manifesto will come out sooner. You will get to know in detail what the party is planning for Bengaluru. You know, it's not any longer, I'll improve the water supply. It's not that. You're now looking at lifting Bengaluru to a different level. Because if Delhi is the capital, like every country has a capital, then every country would also say that's my commercial capital, let's say Mumbai. Then financial headquarters of the special economic zone, like that special financial zone, is coming in Gandhinagar, the IFC, the gift city. Now then, what happens to Bengaluru? I would think it's a knowledge city. It is the city which is going to be futuric and helping India to move forward and give the direction. The springboard for all those skill sets are going to come from the young of Bengaluru. So you need to have something for yourself, and I'm sure they're planning, the party together with the minister who's been dealing with the electronics and IT and everything, should be giving input, and that will come out the day when the manifesto gets released. But the long and short of it is, you need a stable government in Karnataka. You do not want a government which is going to be on tenterhooks every day. Policies cannot be made when you're hanging fire, and there are give and takes to be made on not on policy. You need a steady policy. You need a stable government to give steady policy. Any business plans for it based on the policy for the next 10 years, 20 years. They don't want ups and downs and uncertainties plaguing their business. So today that realization is very obviously seen. States will have to build on strengths. Karnataka's strength is so pronounced. To add to it, in the recent budget we've announced that we'll set up artificial intelligence excellence centers. I'm not naming Bengaluru at this time because the budget didn't name any centers. We said 3 artificial intelligence centers of excellence. But whoever doesn't know the Indian Institute of Sciences is here. And whoever doesn't know that AI is big thing now everywhere, inclusive of Bengaluru and also Bengaluru like San Francisco and anywhere else. I would put it this way from now. We are not anymore, the Bay Area, we are the lakeside. We decide. We decide. So that is one announcement which I think is very important. The other, quantum mission. Again, Indian Institute of Sciences is here. Again, so many different pharma hubs, medical devices being made here. And the state government in the last few years, with Minister Ashwath Narayan, Chief Minister Baswarajji Bommai, The miracle of Bengaluru is now planned to be taken also to other centers. Bengaluru will be the trendsetter. But we want one such a thing happening in Mysore. We also want one such a thing happening in Mangaluru. Also one such a thing happening in Gulbarga, and so on. So many more centers of intense economic activity and therefore blooming into its own oasis is what is being planned. I was very impressed when I went to Kalyana, Karnataka yesterday. Quite a lot of activity because mega industrial textile park has been announced. Any textile park or anybody who's familiar with textile centers will know, okay, we export apparels, we'll export material for jeans, and we also export, garments. All that is one story. When you're talking of industrial textiles, it's a totally different one. It may include upholstery and big time, large multi-starred hotels getting their fabric and everything, but it also means that when you're sitting in your car, the airbag, the material which is required for making airbags. In India, probably just 2, but actually every seat abroad in the car has an airbag. The material comes from industrial textile. So the mega industrial textile park which is coming in Kalburgi will be producing from the upholstery down to the airbag material. You can see the market size. Everywhere in the world you need, for every car that is produced, you need an airbag. Not 1, maybe 5. So these are things which you need to bring in with a certain vision, saying this is appropriate for a belt which requires jobs as much as has the capacity to take it, because nearby areas grow that kind of cotton. That area's cotton is so special. We need to use it with its value being appropriately given. So the industrial textile park, making sure that fertilizer capacity in Mangaluru is increased, Kudremukh is increased for steel ore. Mangaluru port is being increased in its capacity, and the Sagarmala makes it cheaper for us to move goods within India if you take it through the sea route. So there are so many such things which I can add, but humble submission before this very, very motivated and elite audience is, please support BJP. We do not want any uncertainty in Karnataka. We want a stable government. I was fairly surprised to see yesterday somebody had made a comment saying, please look at Prime Minister Modi, Karnataka's bhavishya ke liye vagera. And someone else said, what? You couldn't get a Kannadiga? You want Modi? I was astonished. He's an elected Prime Minister, has shown what he can do in a state. After which, in 2014, because all of us desired a stable, good, visionary-led government, we gave the vote in 2014, which we reinforced in 2019. Post that, he has shown drastic leadership skills, particularly during pandemic, then the war, and today India is the fastest growing economy. Now, what's wrong if we refer to the Prime Minister, who equally attends to every state as much as Karnataka, to say, please, let's look at the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and decide for the future of Karnataka. What's wrong in that? To invoke regional sentiments, to kindle those kind of emotions as though one is pitted against the other, are all tactics which we should not pay heed to. Let them say what they want. We want a strong, stable and future-looking, highly contributing Karnataka, which for its young should give hope. Our youth should not, our children should not be led to say, what's happening, Ma? Why is this like this? Why? No, I want them to just free of all that, move forward and enjoy every moment of what they are doing and be happy to be where they are. That's what we want, and that's what we should work towards too. So I won't take more of your time. Thank you very much for coming. I humbly request, support BJP, vote on Kamal, you're voting for your dear candidate Ashwath Narayanji. Give him back one more tenure. And on that morning, two things. I also belong to middle class, so I can take a bit of liberty. Don't mistake me. Don't plan for any picnics. Don't go out before you give the vote. Post, going and giving your vote, drive off from there to any picnic that you want. But after you cast your vote. And if some of you all are going to be, delayed because of your breakfast and whatever guests at home, I would say, please just go rush, cast your vote, come back and make an elaborate breakfast, enjoy yourself. But first, as they say in Hindi, pehle matdan, fir jalpan. Thank you very much.
I think we are running out of time, so all questions, just be brief and ask specific questions and not debate. So we now throw it open to the audience to ask specific questions on any issue that you would like.
Let's keep it relevant and short. So Rajesh, who has the mic? Okay, so sir, please go ahead.
Nirmala ji, thanks a lot for taking time for Bangalore and being here. I wanted to ask you a bit more on the future, since you talked about that we should leave the past and move to the future, and future is about the intelligence economy. We are, and we want, how do we plan to take Karnataka into that intelligence economy? You talked about the center of excellence, and we have this, industry which probably exports, more IT services than UAE does crude oil. So how do we, grow from there?
No, I think the industry knows it very well. And I will always give credit to this IT and software related sector, because at a time when government was nowhere in this sector, and after some years it started setting up these software technology parks. But much before that, it was the private sector which understood where this is going and moved along fast enough. The government tagged along later. But even today, the private sector is the one which realizes which direction this is going. At every time, the directional changes which are required are all private sector's own decision-making abilities. So I don't think I'll chalk a course for it. But I'll certainly be conscious, and I'm sure Minister will be very conscious, that we'll have to continuously keep facilitating the move. Yes. It's one thing to interrupt, but it's also another thing to sit and watch it. We shouldn't do either. We should just keep facilitating them to move forward. That itself will be the best way to go, rather than somebody from the government speak about it.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Warm evening, ma'am. We have witnessed, ma'am, here. We have witnessed many pending and strong decisions taken by the Modi government, and appreciate for that. We are not asking for removing of reservations, but revamping of reservations. Any chance on that, ma'am? Thank you.
No.
Okay, moving on. So, ma'am, please.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Anupriya, and I did my master's in finance and economics from the London School of Economics, and thereafter worked with the World Bank, EBRD, and Big Four firms across UK, India, Southeast Asia, and Australia. My entire family is a very big fan of yours, and you've been a source of inspiration. Hello. Yeah, my father served as the Chief Commissioner of Income Tax, and my mother is the first female MD of LIC. My grandfather is currently the oldest billionaire of India. So all of us get really inspired by you. I have been very passionate about financial awareness and financial literacy, and in the past I've also collaborated with the Reserve Bank of India. So I wanted some inputs from you on how we can take forward the agenda of financial awareness and financial literacy in India, especially for underprivileged women.
Underprivileged?
Women.
Well, I think the new education policy gives a lot of room for financial literacy to become part of the curriculum. at even from a middle school level. That is one thing. Second, the Reserve Bank of India and also the banks themselves are doing a lot of their own program, aiming at women but also doing it for others. The National Securities Depository Corporation, NSDC, which is headed by a woman, herself a banker, also is doing online programs which are not time bound. It's available. Anyone at their convenience can go, go on board and then do courses on financial literacy related issues. We are also having teams move around to different educational institutions to talk about it. So there are diverse efforts which are going on. Many private individuals are also doing. So financial literacy today is on its own steam. A lot of people are doing things.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have a young gentleman. So please.
Thank you. Now, I don't have a question. I have a comment. What I remember, what President Kennedy said is 1961. Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Good evening.
Yes, so we have one last question, sir. Please.
The last question, fine. Namaskara. I am not a finance man. First, let me tell you, I am not a finance man. The thing is, first of all, thank you very much for projecting the development that has happened in the country, especially the Karnataka's contribution. Being a team one in one of these things, I can boast that we have, especially I'm talking about the military aircraft, the 5th generation aircraft only is being made in Bangalore, which is much better than the Rafale. So thank you very much for all these developments that have taken place, and thanks to our sitting MLA also for all the development that has taken place in Malleshwara. One possibly a wild request. You have already recognized UVCE as an institution of national importance. Please try to get one of those centers of excellence to this. Bangalore must have more centers of excellence, not just IASC. IASC is not the only thing that is there. Another thing is we need a lot of skill development. I know sitting at those things, aircraft industry is facing a lot of things, and definitely more thrust has to be there to that. And of course, another last comment, we have done a lot of concrete has been poured in Malleshwaram. Please also see that we go in for more of greenery in Malleshwaram. One specific question which looks silly for the RWA, we have the problem with GST on maintenance fee, which looks to be a contentious issue, possibly can be sorted out across the table, and also the KAOA Act, which has bricks and glitches, which again has to be sorted out at the policy level. So this is the only thing I wanted to tell you. Definitely there is a lot of scope for improvement, and it has been happening. Thank you very much.
Namaskara, madam.
Ma'am, we have one last question.
Namaskara, madam. This is Rashmi here. Thank you, first of all, for being you and being authentic, and that's been the most inspiring character as far as you are concerned. One small question is, this is regarding the RBI digital currency which will be in circulation next year. Since India has made such leaps and bounds as far as the digital progress is concerned, being UPI, etc., can you throw some light about how will the digital currency work since it will be in circulation for next year? Thank you.
It's difficult for me to say at this stage. The pilot is going on, and we'll have to see what the outcome of the pilot itself is. It's only after that I can comment on it. But pilots are going both wholesale and retail digital.
Thank you, madam.
That brings us to the end of this event. Ma'am, one more.
Good evening, madam. I'm really excited to speak to the finance minister of the country. I'm admiring you from your spokesperson days of BJP. I got an opportunity to talk to you. Bangalore has got everything, is the knowledge capital, IT capital, and the startup capital as well. But the only thing which is lacking here is the mobility. So though there are metro lines, we need plenty of metro lines, and we definitely need a suburban train. For that only the finance minister can help. So,
I think we've already given.
Yes.
yeah.
We are attending to it. I've already announced.
Yeah. And monorail like Singapore and all those, that may come handy to Bangalore also. Thank you.
Respected Madam Ji, whenever I attend your program and whenever I listen to your speech, I always feel that you are our representative and voice of women, irrespective of portfolio, whatever you have. But luckily, you are in finance department now. And myself, Dr. Sarvamangala R. Patil, I am working for women empowerment from past 15 years, especially in the backward Kalyana Karnataka. I belong to Kalyana Karnataka, especially in the backward districts and all. Ma'am, my concern is, especially now like the startups, industries and all, most of them are all online based. And the place like Gulbarga and other places and all, we are literally facing a problem because these sectors, ma'am, MSME, DIC and KSFC, all are in different, and it's like what I request is there should be some help desk should be established so that all this department, if comes under one umbrella, definitely we can also grow like a developed other districts. So thank you very much, ma'am.
Ma'am, thank you so much for taking our questions. Everyone, it is very rare that we have a finance minister at our house. So a huge round of applause for ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.